Hey guys, welcome back to more AFK Arena. In today's video, we're going to be going through all the active codes for January 2023. We're into a new year, and at New Year, there's always a lot of codes. Now, none of these in this video are brand new codes today. This is the video that I regularly do for new months, so that any new players or anyone re-rolling can come to this and look at all the codes and get all the goodies and basically go ahead. Now, if you want to start the game or re-roll an account, now is a fantastic time. There is a lot of really strong codes in the game at the moment that are going to give you quite decent resources. So definitely not a bad time to jump in if that's what you're looking at doing. So we're going to go through these. I'm pretty sure all these are active, but we're going to do them on camera. And if any of them aren't, we'll delete them, and it'll all be in the pinned comment and in the description, and you can just copy, paste, so on and so forth. I'll also leave a link to the website where you can go ahead and do that. We're also going to go through the wish list of what I think for new accounts. We'll go through just general wish list stuff on the different factions and my thoughts about them. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's start off with the redeeming of codes. So we're just going to go over here. We're going to get our user ID, which for me on this account is 149, what is it, 220657, I believe. I didn't mess that up. And then you got to go get your verification code. All these will be unique to your game when you're doing it. And this one's going to be 874126. And we're going to hit login. There we go. So that is the account we're playing on, and we're going to go ahead and just yoink all these codes and see if they all work. So we'll redeem. Exchange successful. Just keep in mind, if you get an error, sometimes it's because you're entering too many codes too fast. So that was good. I'll try and do it here to show you guys what it is. So error frequent limit. So that means you're entering them too fast. Just give it a minute and then redeem again, and you'll be fine. It'll say like expired or invalid. See, this is frequency again. It'll say expired or invalid if the code just doesn't work. So we just got to wait a bit longer. I'm going too fast here. We can go ahead and do that. Control C, Control V. Let's get frequency limit again. The website just can't keep up with my haste. Let's go. Come on. There it is. And just in editing, I did record this video before the AFK 2023 code came out, so we're going to punch that in there. That is another fantastic one with great rewards. I'll edit it onto the screen so you see it, and it will be in the description and pinned comment. Done. So all those are currently active. I don't believe there are any more active codes than that based on the previous ones that I've seen and their expiration, but I could be wrong. So that's all we need this screen for. So let's jump back over to this screen so we don't have to look at all the extra stuff. And once you've redeemed them, you can go over here to the mail, and we can go ahead and collect all of the goodies. As you can see, the codes are quite nice. We've got, what is it, 20, 30, 60, 70 scrolls, a few diamonds. Honestly, it's not too bad. And we do have the Hero Select chest, which is really nice for a brand new account. Guarantees you to get your carry that you want to get, which is incredibly, incredibly solid. So that is that one. Now we're going to close out of that. We can check the bag for what we've actually ended up with there. As you can see, 80 scrolls, not too bad all up with all the different rewards we get. Now you can also go into events if you are re-rolling. You can go into Wukong share for that. We can go to Soldier Supplies, which is going to get us an extra 1,000 diamonds. Boot Camp doesn't really have anything of massive value. I don't think... So does this always have the Chinese thing? I'm not too sure. Not too sure. The B Squad thing we can't do yet. Winter is Here was another one that I claimed already. So that's not a bad event. And that's pretty much all we're looking at the moment for this one. As always, you can go into your quests and just claim all those goodies as well, and get a few more diamonds pumped up. And you can also take the diamonds from your characters obtained and go ahead and get those as well. I'm not going to do it though, because can't really be bothered, to be honest. So that is what we end up with. So we end up with, what do we say? We end up with 80 scrolls and we end up with 4,560 diamonds, which is quite respectable. Now let's jump into the wish list. So let's have a look at the wish list for light bearers first of all. Scarlet's a bit of a no-brainer. She's just endgame bosses. That's pretty much, you're not going to use her in the early game. I find her pretty bad in the early game, but she's good there. Who else do we have? Where is he? Rowan, he's fallen off a bit from where he was a year ago, 2 years ago, but he's still a fantastic unit. That energy potion is going to be very valuable. He's definitely one that's worthwhile building up there. As we move on from that, Rosaline still has some strong uses. Pretty solid unit to go ahead and obtain. Then we have Palmer. He's honestly, I find him useless early game, but he's one not bad to have on your wish list to look towards bosses in the later game. So he's pretty good for that. Besides that, I like Morrow's control. He's not fully meta though. Sonya's good early game, good for PvP teams as well, some PvP teams, so she's okay. And like I said, she's really strong early game in my opinion from the Lightbearer faction. Cecilia's nice early game to get one copy of to, you know, use against bosses just to really reduce their attack and help you, you know, survive a bit more. Rain and Astrilda just feel to be falling off a lot lately. Hendrik for some situations, but if it was me personally in this situation, I'd probably be slapping in someone like Sonya just because I really like her personally. And that's kind of what we can look at a wish list there. Now, as we move on past that, let's jump into the Maulers. So Maulers for me, I'm really liking, what's her name? I've forgot. I'm having an absolute mind blank. Anasta, there it is. I really personally like her. I think she's pretty solid for most aspects of the game. Not as strong in campaign and tower, but in the alternate aspects, she's really good. Artie is the guy who put me onto her and just made me fall in love with her. Kren, just because he's a really good unit just for campaign and stuff like that. Just good juggling. Just a really solid carry in the later game. Not so strong in the early game. You don't want to power level him or anything like that because he's just a squishy front. Like he's too squishy to do carrying, but good one to have in there. Chicken, obviously, 5 pull's still a really strong strategy. So having Chicken, you need to get him ascended. You need to get him to 3 furniture for him to operate in the way he wants to. Past that, you know, something like Brutus is always going to find use in the game because of his invulnerability. He doesn't get better till higher levels where it extends out to like 7 and 8 seconds, but he's still not bad one to have just to get a couple copies of and eventually work towards because you'll always find a use for a Brutus throughout the game. Moving past that, different sort of things. Thescu I find is a really good early game unit, but drops off to nothing in the later game. Who else? Honestly, where are we looking at? Like Antandra's a really good carry early game as well. Good sustain and stuff like that. Totem Dude you can get some use out of. Screg's also decent, not too bad. Warwick's sort of fallen out of meta. Titus, decent early game carry as well. Aside from that, not too much going on. So for me personally, if I was starting a fresh account, I would actually go for the Thescu in case I got copies of him for early pulls. He can just do really nice control and damage in the early game. Like I said, falls off to nothing in the late game, but if you don't get any other carry options, not too bad. All right, let's look at the Wilders here. So for me, the Wilders, let's start off with Wilders is pretty concise for me. These two absolute no-brainers. Mishka's just busted good. So is a star in the early game, like insane, especially if you unlock her signature items and then she can start dealing damage as well. As we move on, so Navanthi is another one that I'm absolutely a big fan of. Raku's one that you're going to want for the later game. He's not so great in the early game, but definitely once you get his signature item up there and stuff like that, Raku is going to be an absolute beast. He's often one that I don't mind using a swap scroll on to go ahead and get. Besides that, you've got Leica, fantastic all the time. Wilders is one that I often get one copy of units and then swap through. So if I got like one copy, like I'd honestly leave Raku off because I don't need him till later, but get one copy of Leica, swap Riak, get one copy of Lawson, swap him out, get one copy of Tassie, because all these units, and then also get one copy of Iron. These units are all useful at one copy in certain situations, and that's why I like it. Pippa is another fantastic one with the teleports, and honestly for early game, I've grown to like this guy a lot more. Yoran, I believe they say. I think he's a really good early game carry. He's not like a campaign tower unit in the late game, but he's still very strong for like Wilder Tower and stuff like that. So he's one that I like, and if you want to cheese around with something as a carry, I think he's a bit of a fun option. So in this one, we'll just leave him in the wish list. And then for the final unit, let's put in something like the Leica, because she always comes in clutch. Then as we move over here into the Graveborn, Damon, probably best carry in the early game. Silas, probably one of the best healers in the early game. Odin, one of the best, support DPS control units in the early game. I'm a big fan of Fane, especially if you like Kren. They synergize well, but Fane's just a really good unit on his own. Besides that, getting one copy of Pharrell, one copy of Nara, not too bad to help you in early game stages. Thorin is going to be meta in the later game, doing Thorin Cheese, and Grizzle is going to be meta as well, so getting copies of them for the late game is always going to be an option. If it was me personally, I really like Fane. I'd like to get a copy of him, and I'd like to get a copy of Nara. Then as I got one copy of each of those, this is for the early game progression, I would swap one of them out for the Pharrell. And then once I got my copy of Pharrell, maybe I would swap to a Hodgkin. And after that, then I would just probably set in a Grizzle myself and not worry about Thorin until later. Plus, you can get him from the lab store, but you will be wanting to pick up other things from the lab store. Thorin's just one I don't personally enjoy the playstyle, even though he's very meta. I'm not a huge fan. So that is where I would set my wish list at the moment. So let's go ahead and pop the summons and see where we end up. Now, unfortunately, we have 80 scrolls, but one of those is the prerequisite scroll that's going to give us a guaranteed purple from the thing. So I might try and do 80 just through 10 pulls and then do a single with diamonds and see if that works as the guaranteed from it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry, just do your summons and stuff will pop out. But basically, after you clear the first chapter, it gives you a scroll and you can do it. But I skipped the first chapter because I've already got an account cleared. So let's just ignore what I'm saying now and let's pop some summons and see how this account would have rolled out to be. So let's start this. First 10 pulls guaranteed a purple. You just want to get some decent rates past that. Okay, we get a Leica. So like I said, with something like a Leica, let's just go ahead and do this. You always want to do that as you do it. I probably don't need to bother for this video. And then you can always Facebook share as well to get the extra 300 diamonds. I can't be bothered in case it zones out and bugs out the game on the emulator. But because I got that one copy of Leica, like I said, what I would do on here is I would sub her out and I'd go ahead and try and get a copy of Pippa now. So let's go ahead and do the 10 pulls. Let's go again. Nothing. Hopefully you get one here. You just want to beat, because you're guaranteed one purple every 3 temples. So now we're into a guaranteed purple, and you look at that. Click the exact one. There we go. We got a chicken. It's looking like a pretty poor account. We've had two guaranteed singles, and we haven't got a carry yet. Like I said, we do have that select box, which is quite nice. But this would be a pretty dud reroll account, if you ask me. But let's keep going on and see what we can end up with here. There we go. I think that was the guaranteed again. Another copy of the chicken. Yeah, this is going to be a horrible early game account. Take a Damon from the select. So let's see if this works as the single. See if we get the guaranteed purple. Yes, we do. Okay. And this doesn't obey my wish list. It obeys the previous wish list, but it still did net me a Rowan, which is not too bad. Let's go one more temple and see how we go there. And we got pretty much donuts on that one. So that is what I would call a fairly average reroll. Double chicken, Rowan, and Leica. We didn't beat the odds on anything. Pretty much horrible. But like I said, you do get the select box at the moment to go ahead and progress your account. Which one was it? Let's do these. Oh no, it won't get us there, don't worry about it. But you do get that select box so you can choose your carry if you want to, and you're not too fussed about rerolling too hard on a new account. But anyway guys, that is going to be this one. Thanks for watching, hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.